And we said that the world stands on God's arms. After we said it stands on the wind, we are in the middle of the page, and we are where it starts with the word devaro. The middle of the page, literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 16, 17. 17 lines from the top of the Gemara.
How many?
17 lines from the top of the Gemara, where you have page 24, which is Yud Bet Amud Bet. It starts with the word Shene'emar umitachat zeroot olam. So let's go the 16 line, I'm sorry. So it says Ruach se'ara osa devaro, right? Se'ara tluya, se'ara, the jet stream. What does it depend on? Zro'ot olam. Right? Bizro'o shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It depends on the forearm of Hashem. Shene'emar, as it says, umitachat zero'ot olam. As it says, and it's under zero'ot olam. Now, when we talk about zero'ot olam, what is wind? We know that there are 4 elements. Maimonides teaches us that every element is made, everything in the world is a mix of 4 elements: earth, air, fire, and water. In physics, they will tell you that there are 70 elements. The 70 elements, even the physicists will tell you that the 70 elements depend on these 4 elements. Maimonides explains the nature of all 4 elements. And he says that according to the lightness, the lighter an element is, the more refined it is, the closer it's to God, the more it knows God. So, the nature of earth is to go down, to be heavy. The nature of water is to spread. The nature of air is to go to the sides, and the nature of fire is to go up. All 4 elements have different natures, but everything in the world is composed. We are composed of all 4 elements. Earth we understand, air we understand, water we understand. Where is the fire? The element of fire is the warmth, the energy that's in the heart. The Zohar Kadosh says that if it wasn't for the air element which is in the lungs, it says in the Zohar, has 5 flaps, and if you open a lung, 2 lungs, the one has 2 flaps, the other one, the one that's on the side of the heart, is smaller because it needs to leave some space for the heart. It has 2 flaps, and the one which is on the right side has 3 flaps. And if it wasn't for these flaps and this air, the heat of the of the heart would consume the body. You would not be able to stand. And we see as soon as a person has fever, he cannot handle it. The element ruach se'ara osa devaro, which is what it says here. It says ve'aruach, and the ruach, the air, the wind. What does it stand on? Right? It stands on se'ara. Se'ara is the result of the ruach. It's that chaos, this force that there is. And the ruach se'ara, that force that there is, what does it stand on? It stands on the forehand of Hashem, which is basically, if we look in the Az Yashir Moshe, we speak about God's forehand. We say, what do we say? No. זרועך ידמו כאבן. ימינך השם. No. Bigdol Zeroacha Yidemu Ka'aven. With the greatness, yes, of course, we're going to take a sidur that will be right here. We say that when God extends His forearm, the enemy is silent and becomes mute, like right. Bigdol Zeroacha Tipol Alehem Emata Rafachat. May fall upon them fear and awe and fear. Bigdol zeruacha, and the greatness of your zeroah, your forehand, yidemu ka'aven, they are mute and they are inanimate like a stone. Ad yavor avecha Hashem, ad yavor amzukaita, till your people will go through the sea. Zeroacha in general, zeroah, represents the revelation of God. There's an element of chaos caused by the wind. We see it, we know it here in hurricanes, how it can be chaotic. And then there is the energy, which is the mania, the motor that actually holds back. The same way there's this great miracle that God does, where He holds back the sea and the seabed and it doesn't overflow. God holds back the air that it should not cause a chaos. Because normally, naturally speaking, when you have wind, there is chaos. Okay? And that's why it says that the whole world stands on the wind. And the wind itself stands on the forearm of Hashem, which is the willpower of God that He holds back things. Right? This is the Gevurah of Hashem. As it says in the Pasuk, Umitachat zero'ot olam, and under there is zero'ot olam, right? Which means the two forearms. The Ramchal explains that the two forearms control the tornado. That's the word se'ara, is a tornado. The tornado of the Yetzer Hatov and the tornado of the Yetzer Hara, of the evil and the good inclination. Right. So our sages teach us something else. V'chachamim omrim, if we follow in the text, but the sages, they say something else. The world doesn't stand on the forearms of Hashem. Al shnem asar amudim hi omedet. It stands on 12 pillars. Why 12 pillars? So it says, it brings a verse. Shenemar yatzer gevulot amim lemispar bnei Israel. God established the boundaries of the world, lemispar, according to the number of the Jewish people. And how many tribes do we have? We have 12 tribes. So the world stands on all 12. Right. These are the 12 tribes, the 12 blessings that Yaakov gave to the 12 tribes, and each one of them is another pillar of in their merit. There's a pillar of the world stands. Veyesh omrim, and then we have another opinion that says Shiv'a amudim. There are actually 7 pillars. Why? Because there's a verse that says, Hatzeva, God cut out Amudei HaShiv'a, 7 pillars. Now, those who say that opinion is because the word Sheva, the 7, comes from the word Savea, which means satiated. The world has been satiated, has been given what it needs to be able to stand. There's a commentary that says something beautiful here. If you look at the word Geshem, which represents the word Gashmiut, right? Gashmiut, which Geshem is rain, but it's physicality at the same time. Physicality Gashmiyut has a numerical value, Geshem, of 343. So if you take 7 times 7 times 7, it comes out to 343. And that's why many times we'll see that the Torah will connect to 7. A lot of things will connect to 7. And here we're really going to go into, eventually we're going to be explaining in the Gemara in a few minutes, the 7 different things. Everything is in 7. Let's continue. Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua, Omer al Amud Echad. He said no. The world stands only on one pillar. What is that one pillar? The pillar is called Tzaddik. Tzaddik Shemo. The pillar is called the Tzaddik. As it says in the verse, Shene'emar v'Tzaddik Yesod Olam. The Tzaddik is the foundation of the world. Why? Because it says in the Talmud, Tzaddik gozer v'Hashem mekayem. The Tzaddik makes a decree, and God does. Hashem, HaKadosh Baruch Hu gozer, God makes a decree, v'Tzaddik mevatel, and the Tzaddik is able to annul the decree. So here we see there's a special power to the Tzaddik, that he's able to actually make the world stand. I remember Rabbi Kaduri alav Shalom announced at a certain point that there was going to be an earthquake in Eretz Yisrael. He saw that there was going to be an earthquake. Come. And what happened is that all the Kabbalists got together, they did different things, incantations, and they all announced there was going to be an earthquake in Eretz Yisrael. I remember this happened some 35 years ago. And then the earthquake, maybe Shammai will remember, where did the earthquake go? It went to Iraq? Or to Iran? To Iran. It went to Iran. And there was an earthquake in Iran. And then Rabbi Kaduri said God had planned an earthquake on the earth, in Israel, but the Lubavitcher Rebbe, with his mitzvah campaigns, pushed it over to Iran. That's what he had said at the time. And now we understand here the whole world stands on one thing. So he says, no, that opinion is that the world stands on one thing. What is that? Tzaddik Yesod Olam. The Tzaddik is the foundation of the world. Where do we see this again? Tzaddik Yesod Olam, that the Tzaddik is the foundation of the world. It's in the Kli Yakar. The Kli Yakar brings down in Parashat Lech Lecha, Veheye Beracha. You will be a blessing, right? Because God promised Avraham Avinu that you are going to be a blessing. What do you mean you're going to be a blessing? So he says, till now, I God, used to bless the people. But now, Veye Beracha, Beruchot Netunot Lach. You, the blessings will be given to you, meaning that it's going to be through you that the people are going to be blessed. And that's what it says in the Talmud, Lo nizon ha'olam, ela bishvil hanina beni. The whole world is nourished in the merit of Hanina Beni, Hanina my son, Hanina ben Dosa, which was a great tzaddik. Velo, and he only nourishes himself with a little water and some carobs. And that's what he nourishes himself with. Meaning that the Baal Shem Tov says, Bishvil, for, in the merit of, is not really Bishvil. In Hebrew, the word Shvil means a pathway. Through the pathway of the tzaddik, everything happens in the world. And that is what it says here, tzaddik yesod olam. The whole world stands on the tzaddik. He is the one that's able, right? We see it with Noah at the time, tzaddik haya bedorotav. The whole world was saved from the flood because of Noah. If not, the world would have been destroyed, he would have been destroyed, and everything would have gone back to tohu and bohu. So really, that discussion is the discussion that there is concerning the mitzvot. Which mitzvah does the world stand on? So is it on 3 mitzvot? Is it on what are the main mitzvot? So he says, Uba Habakuk ve'midan alahat. There are 613 mitzvot which were given to us. But Habakuk, the prophet, he made that the whole Torah should depend on one mitzvah.
The study of Torah?
No. Tzaddik be'emunato yihyeh. The tzaddik, meaning the one, the Jew that observes Torah, it all depends on his emunah, on his faith. You have faith, then you're going to be able to observe Torah. The same way, and since we know that the world only depends on the study of the Torah, on our study of Torah, therefore, it depends on the same way that the world stands on one thing, right? The Torah can depend on one thing too, as well. So let's continue. And as we see, it's not only the spiritual welfare of the world, it's the physical welfare of the world that comes through the tzaddik. Not only that, the Kli Yakar goes further. He says that the fact that in the nations of the world, if they get rain, or the animals are dying, or the people are fed, it all goes through a channel called the tzaddik of the generation. That's what he says. That's what the Kli Yakar writes in Parashat Lech Lecha. I was shocked when I saw it in the words. And right away it reminded me a story that one of the governors of New York came to see the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and he was the governor over Chinatown as well. And the Rebbe says, I have a request. So he was shocked. He said, usually, when leaders have requests, they want a lot in order to build a yeshiva, or they want some type of grant. Here, he asked me completely something different. He says, the people in Chinatown, this is what the Rebbe asked his governor, the people in Chinatown are living in a very tight homes, and they don't have place, right? It should be important for the government to supply them with proper housing. I'm sorry, I'm going to mention another story because I can't help myself. This is a story I heard directly, on video, the testimony. There was a woman, which was the first black woman running for Congress and being voted in Congress. At the time, people were very racist. So what did they do? They made her Minister of Agriculture. And it was the laughing stock of Congress, We took this lady that, she wanted to lift her head up and be part of Congress, and we made her head of agriculture. What's very interesting, she says, as long as I was running, I asked an appointment with the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and I did not get an appointment. Once I got elected, the Rebbe the Rebbe's secretary called me that they wanted to meet with me. And the Rebbe comforted this non-Jewish black lady that came into his office. And the Rebbe said, I know that your spirits are very down because of what they did to you, and now they put you in this position. So the Rebbe said, you have to know you're in an extraordinary position because there's a surplus of food in America, and with this surplus you'll be able to nourish all the people that don't have food by basically establishing what we call WIC, food stamps, and all that stuff. And she is the one, under the advice of the Rebbe, that established food stamps in America. So here we see two things which are extraordinary. We're not talking about Jewish people now. We're talking about the welfare of the whole country, putting food in the mouth of people that don't have what to eat. Right? So that's what it says with Tzaddik Yesod Olam. The world stands on the tzaddik. Now we're going to go to another subject. Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda says that really Shnei Reki'im Hen. It stands there. How many are the heavens? How many heavens are there? Right? How many heavens do we have? What?
7.
So you're right. In the Midrash, it mentions 7 heavens, and in a second, that's what we're going to see. But not everybody agrees with that. What's your first name in Hebrew?
Asher.
Asher. Well, obviously, if your name was Yehuda, you would say 7. Or if your name was Resh Lakish, because Amar Rabbi Yehuda says Shnei Reki'im Hem. Right? Shnei Reki'im Hem. אני בשיעור עכשיו עוד 30 שניות. אמר רבי יהודה שני רקיעים הם, שנאמר הן להשם אלוקיך השמיים ושמי השמיים. There's a verse that says the heavens belong to Hashem, the heavens and the heavens above the heavens. By the way, we look at this word. Everybody saw the verse? Everybody has it? Hand. The word hand. Well, we turned the page, right? Did we turn the page?
No.
No, but
It's on both of them.
Oh, it's on both of them because of the
Where are you? Tell me. I cannot find it.
I'm sorry, I'm just. Yes, hen. It starts with the word hen, right? Not the rooster. So, hen is very interesting. Why is it this word? Why is the word hen chosen in that pasuk? Hen, Lashem Elokecha. They are to Hashem Elokecha. Because if you look at the numbers from 1 to 10, every number, in order to become 10, has a couple, has a spouse to complete itself to 10. 1 can become 10 with 9, right? And 4 can become 10 with 6, and 3 can become 10 with 7, but 5 can only become 10 with itself, showing that there's a unicity. So that's what we say, Hen, Lashem Elokecha Shamayim Shem. They are for heaven, for Hashem, right? The heavens above the heavens. Meaning that only for the one which is unique do these belong. Yeah, 55, right, 55. So, now we say like this. So according to this, there are 2 heavens. Resh Lakish Amar. Resh Lakish says, no, they are at 7 heavens. Shiva ve'elu hen, and here they are. Vilon, right, and that's where I'm going to need your Gemara, please, Shammai. Because I just want to read it in English. I was going to translate with my own translation, but now I want to make sure to translate it. In the yeah. Here we go. So there are 7 of them. Vilon, which is the curtain. Rakia, which is the sky. Shehakim, which is the mills. Zevul, which is the residence. Ma'on, Machon, Aravot, which is the abode, the arsenal, and the plains. Now you understand why I needed the English translation for this one. Okay? So basically, the Torah refers to these different levels, to the different 7 heavens. To each one has another level. So let's explain what that means in a second here. So he says, Vilon, the curtain, eno meshamesh klum. It doesn't have any use whatsoever. Ela nichnas shachid v'yotzei arvit. right? It comes in the morning and lifts up at night. It lifts up in the morning, right, and leaves at night. ומחדש בכל יום מעשה וראשית. And every day the world, the creation is renewed. שנאמר עד נוטה כדוק שמיים וימתחם כאוהל השבת. As it says that the curtain serves no purpose, right? It's just, what does it do? It says in the verse, who spreads the heavens like a thin curtain and stretches them like a tent. That's the purpose of the Vilon. Now, Kabbalistically speaking, right, obviously we have Zivul. We're going from level to level. There is in Kabbalah the concept of a vilon, of a curtain, which is called Parsa Hamafseket, which means there is the level of the world of Atzilut, where the light of Hashem is very powerful, but the light of Hashem we can't just go from spiritual to potential of material. There needs to be some type of curtain which is going to hide the light of Hashem. There is a diminishing of light. So just to give you just a Kabbalistic concept of what we call the Tzimtzum. Tzimtzum in Hebrew means contraction of light. But there's two ways to have contraction of light. You can either contract the light, which means the light itself has been shut down, so to say, and there's only a beam of light which is appearing. And another way of contracting the light is by putting a curtain in front of the light. So this is the vilon, right? It permits, there's a certain interaction between the world and Hashem's power to create and recreate every second. And let's see what it says here. It says vilon, right? Umechadesh b'chol yom ma'aseh v'reshit. The world gets recreated. Beseda. Gets recreated every moment. Ma'aseh v'reshit. B'chol yom, every day ma'aseh v'reshit. So here I want to tell you. It's okay. So don't worry about it. Rav David is with us. Baruch Hashem. God recreates the world. There's a rejuvenating of the world every moment. What does that mean, practically speaking? That the world is being recreated every instant. And our sages teach us, Bechol rega verega, every single instant the world is being recreated. First of all, you have to know, as we're sitting right here now, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of cells in our body which are dying, and thousands of cells which are being reproduced and renewed. The recreation of everything, if you look at quantum physics, right? Quantum physics, basically, the only difference there is between this chair and this table is the way the mass of all the atoms is going to be concentrated. But really, at the essence of everything, there is a total emptiness. Let me explain. If I take an atom, around the atom there is a neutron, right, and a
Proton.
a proton,
Electron.
an electron, and a
The
proton.
electron goes around
Yeah.
the atom. The atom is made of the proton and the
Yeah.
neutron.
So we have here, and we have the electron around it.
Right.
So what happens is that there is a. Give me the cap, please.
Another cap.
Another cap.
Another atom.
So right here, because we're so close, right? These two, you understand that they are separated. But if I had a series of those, one right next to the other, and they were further away from you, you would not see that there's space between them. You would just see a straight line. There's a certain distance between the atom and the electron. This I heard from a scientist, which is a very big teacher of science, and a Kabbalist. It's okay, it doesn't matter. And he explained to me the following. There is a distance between one and the other. If you would take the atom, okay, you would take the atom and blow it to be 1 centimeter of diameter. An atom is so small it's impossible to see it even with microscopes. Right? And you would blow it up, and as you blow it up, the distance between the atom and the electron would be proportionally blown up. How much distance do you think there would be between the atom and the electron?
In relativity, it would be gigantic.
It would be half a mile. Wow. To such an extent, this is so extraordinary that everything we see, basically, there's more empty space than there is actual matter.
Dark matter.
That's why next time your wife tells you it doesn't matter, she's right. Right? So, there's more space than matter to such a degree, this physicist explained to me, that if you would take out all the empty space and you would gather all the matter of all of planet Earth, listen to this very carefully, you would be able to hold the whole Earth in your 2 hands. It would be too heavy to carry, but you will be able to hold it. So we can understand that there's a renewal that's happening. Even though we don't see it with our eyes, there's a renewal of the creation that's happening from which is called in Kabbalah ex nihilo yesh me'ayin, from nothing to something every moment. And that's why the vision we have of things, if it's positive, has an influence to transform a situation. Well, if you have a negative vision, chas v'shalom, that's what sticks on to what happens. So it's important to note that here when he talks about HaMechadesh u'Mechadesh b'chol yom tamin ma'aseh v'reshit, right, which renews every day the creation of the world, right, this is the vilon. The vilon is basically this curtain, right, which hides a certain reality and opens us up to a new reality. The sun is there, the sun is here as we're speaking right now. The fact that we don't see it, right, is because it's shining in another part, but it's there. So that reality appears to us only at certain moments. So let's continue. This is the first one. Afterwards, we have Rakia. What is Rakia? So he says, Shebo Hama ulevana kochavim umazalot kevuim bo. Rakia is the place where you have the sky, where you have the sun and the moon, the stars and the constellations are fixed over there, as it says in the verse, Shenema vayiten otam Elohim b'chkia hashamayim, and God put these luminaries in the heavens. Right? He placed them in the heavens, which means that God, in His great decree, makes the moon and the stars and everything else stand in a way that nothing moves. Nothing moves. That's the way it is. Hashem established it. Nevertheless, there is a certain rapport between the sun, the moon, and the stars and the earth. Yesterday, I was on a car with somebody, and he told me that when he was in the war in Israel, there are what we call the Druzim, and these Druzim, just by looking at the stars, right, they're able to establish where something is. Shama, you want to explain to us?
No, they can see to the stars exactly how to walk in the desert, even though you don't see nothing, and whatever you look, you cannot understand. I mean, they have it inside. It's nobody understands. They also see. הדרוזים.
גם הבדואים יכול להיות שיכולים.
בדואים?
הבדואים והדרוזים. הדרוזים הם מגששים.
מגששים זה הבדואים.
לא דרוזי, דרוזי.
It's
גם וגם.
not just them. Navigating by the stars is very, very ancient. It's an old thing that people have done for centuries.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
The
but-
only thing is, I don't think that there's anybody here around the table that knows how to do it. Right? Or do you? No.
Sort of. I know how to
Find the North Star and go north.
find the North Star and go north, but also depending on the time of year, I can tell that which way is north, south, east, and west.
Okay,
it
what
changes
about-
throughout
what
the
about
year.
when
It
you have to
changes in
take-
the sky.
A certain place and go exactly to the place, and they bring you exactly to the place without maps, without seeing them. How do they do this? I mean, north, south, and west.
You can't use the
You're in a
star
co-
chart.
You can,
Everybody
yeah.
knows to do
The
it.
star chart.
You need an instrument, you need an instrument, you need a sextant.
It's like Native Americans and tracking.
Yeah, yeah.
They have
So-
an innate.
No,
like-
Why am I mentioning this? The only point I'm mentioning this is because as much as the stars are not going to speak to certain people, right? Not because they're snobs and they're in Hollywood. I'm not talking about these ones. I'm talking about the other stars. But as much as it doesn't speak to us, it doesn't mean that when God makes them stand in the heavens, they don't have a certain influence and they don't indicate certain things and don't reflect of certain things. So I'm just mentioning that. So this is called the sky. Then we have what's called shehakim. Shehakim, which is the good translation is the mills, right? In which shebo rehaim omdot, the millstones stand there. V'tochenet mana tzadikim, and it grinds manna for the righteous. So there's a discussion. What manna? Are we talking about at the time of the desert? Yes, it's actually the manna, which is that food which is absorbed by man and completely digested and absorbed by man, and that he doesn't reject. There's absolutely no psolet. There's absolutely nothing negative in that food, and this is the food of the world to come that was given to the Jewish people. That's why he says, "Lo nidna Torah ela." The Torah was only given to those leochle aman, those who ate the manna, because it's a food from heaven. It's a food that gives you a taste of heaven, meaning that you are detached. Even though you're physically alive, you are detached from the physical world and the physical pleasure. You see, the food that we eat has an influence on how coarse, how involved we are in the physical world. That's why the tzaddikim, the righteous, their way of eating is more, they subsist on the actual godliness which is inside the food and not for the physicality, and that's how they're so refined, and that's how the Jewish people were able to receive the Torah, because they ate of that type of godly food. Yes?
What are the mills actually grinding? What goes if the man comes out of the mills? What goes into the mills?
It's a very, very good question. I'm going to...
Nice.
what?
It was a miracle.
No. He asks a very, very good question. What exactly is going to... what are you grinding? If we're talking about shechakim, which means you're grinding, normally what do we grind? We grind wheat. So if you permit, I'm going to say an explanation that I didn't see anywhere. But the word chita, one of the things that the Torah is compared to is chita, is to bread, to wheat. The word chita, chet, tet, he, has a numerical value of 22. And 22 are the letters of the Hebrew alphabet. Le'olam Hashem devarcha nitzav b'shamayim. The heavens, in the heavens, there are the letters that make and sustain everything in the world. My impression would be that if anything is going to be grinded, it's going to be the letters, meaning that the life force through which everything comes, through the names and the letters. We explained that last Wednesday, and that's what was given to the tzaddikim, and that's what's given to the people. Yeah. He says this is a food which is a spiritual food, which is so pure and so elevated that people become refined from it, and it's so refined. Then we have the next step, the next heaven. I just want to mention a little thing in Kabbalah. If you take from Barechu et Hashem HaMevorach, once you come afterwards, you know that the prayer is a 4-step prayer according to Kabbalah. We go first of all in the world of action, and then we go into the world of formation. Then we go into what's called Olam HaKiseh, the world of the throne, which is called the world of creation. And then we ascend to the highest world, which is the world of closeness and emanation. The whole first part of prayer, from Rabbi Chay Amar, Hodu, till Barechu et Hashem HaMevorach, when we say the Kaddish, and that's why we say the Kaddish, because we're ascending from one world to the other. The first part of the prayer, before that, the Korbanot, the offerings, is the world of creation. Afterwards, you have the world of formation. After Yitgadal, Yitkadash, the Kaddish, which elevates you in Barechu et Hashem HaMevorach, you go to the world of the throne, the world of the which is the world of creation. Why is it called Olam HaKiseh? Because that's where you say the Shema, where you're sitting down. And afterwards you have the world of closeness, where you're standing up. Why am I mentioning this? Because from Barechu et Hashem HaMevorach all the way to the Shema, we go through the 7 heavens. These 7 heavens are the different heavens we go through, and it's divided in 7 sections. How is it divided in 7 sections? That's a Kabbalah class. It's not a Talmud class. So let's continue with the Talmud.
So there's 4 worlds with 7 heavens.
Correct.
Okay.
The heavens have nothing to it. It's only in one of the worlds that you really have these heavens.
There's no relationship to the...
Correct.
Okay. They're just 2 independent things. 4 worlds, 7 heavens.
Correct.
Although it's all one.
Correct.
Okay.
The 4 worlds correspond to the 4 levels of the soul.
Yes, there are 5 levels to the soul, but to the 4 preliminary levels of the soul, yes. Yes. So let's continue. Afterwards, we have the 4th level, which is Zavul. Zavul, which is going to be the translation for Zvul in good English, is residence. Right? What is the residence? So he says Zavul. Oh, I'm sorry, I skipped a verse. It says, God commanded the mills of above and the doors of heavens opened, and God made rain over them the manna, and He gave them from the harvest of the heavens. Zavul. Zavul, we said, is the residence, Shebo Yerushalayim. This is where Jerusalem is. As we know, that Jerusalem shel Mala, mechuvenet, Jerusalem shel Mata, Yerushalayim shel Mata, mechuvenet keneged Yerushalayim shel Mala. There is a spiegel, a mirror, right, which is the reflection of the Jerusalem of below, which is reflected in above. So this is where the residence of Hashem is. There's the Jerusalem of above. Ma'on. Ma'on in English is going to be abode. Right? Ma'on. Abode. Shebo kitot shel malachei hasharet shomrot shirot balayla. This is where groups, and many groups of angels, they say praises and they sing song to Hashem balayla v'chashot bayom, but they're silent in the day. Anybody knows why they're silent in the daytime? Why would the angels be only singing at night and be silent in the daytime? Because who's supposed to sing during the daytime? We are, the Jewish people. מפני כבודן של ישראל, because of the honor and the respect of the Jewish people. שנאמר יומם יצווה אדוני חסדו בלילה שירועים. As it says, God commands His kindness during the daytime, and at night His song is with me. Amar Resh Lakish. From this verse I learned something beautiful, and this is something incredible which we should have in mind. Amar Resh Lakish says, Kol ha'osek b'Torah b'layla, whoever studies Torah at night, HaKadosh Baruch Hu moshech alav chut shel chesed bayom. There's a certain string of kindness which is on him during the daytime. Now, many years ago, if you ask a few students that were here before, we used to study very, very late at night. From what was it, 11 o'clock? Well, what was the time of the class?
Something like that.
11 o'clock,
To 2 a.m.
2, 3 a.m. We'd study from 11 to 3 a.m. We'd study different passages of the Zohar and different texts. And the next day, as much as you were physically beat, right, there was a certain grace of kindness that was surrounding you. You felt the presence of Hashem with you. It's incredible whenever you study Torah at night. That's why it's such a waste when a person watches foolishness before going to sleep. Take a few minutes and study Torah. One day somebody asked his Rebbe, I want to grow in Chassidut. I would like to grow in the study of Hasidic philosophy. So he said you should study just before you go to sleep, because normally a person grows while he sleeps. So if you study before you go to sleep, you'll grow in Chassidut. We'll stop here for today. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen.